Hi everyone, it's Tim, this time from inside my house, not in my normal garage location. See, I am actually allowed in the house every now and then. Anyway, this video is specifically about the monster triple clutch that I have in my 2017 Chevy SS. Particularly, I'm trying to address a viewer's questions, someone who's also considering the very same swap. It's Reese Easterling, I believe, if I'm pronouncing it correctly. So here's the answer to your questions, and then hopefully also, generally helpful information for others that might also be thinking about it. So specifically, the clutch that I bought was the Monster Triple S series clutch. So it's got organic friction material, not cerametallic. There's a choice of flywheel. The one that I chose is the 20-pound billet flywheel, so not like any kind of ultra lightweight or anything like that. It's a solid single mass flywheel. Also, I chose a billet bearing support. So it's a throwout bearing. It's like a little aluminum machine sleeve that apparently counteracts some problems or failures that GM has with those throwout bearings in these transmissions. It was pretty cheap, and everyone that I spoke with recommended highly to get it. And then the last thing that we got also from Monster is not a speed bleeder, but the 36-inch remote bleeder, which makes bleeding the slave cylinder much less of a pain in the ass, because otherwise you have to like get right up in it. And so imagine having like 36 inches of sort of braided brake line kind of coming out with the bleeding at the end of that. Makes bleeding the slave cylinder much easier. So those are the four things. So Monster Type S, 20-pound billet flywheel, the billet release bearing support, and then a remote bleeder. Those were the four things that I ordered for the clutch. The install went great. Took less than a day. The shops that I went to seems to be really good with it. My comments regarding my experience with the clutch itself. It should be noted that I came from another high-performance clutch which had cerametallic friction material and was very chattery, and I was very unhappy with it, and I tried for probably 9 or 10 months to really like it or hope that it would somehow wear itself in. But I finally gave up and bought a different clutch. So I am tickled pink with the new clutch, but I'll also do my best to try and compare what it's like compared to a stock Chevy SS clutch. And so the first thing to know is that the stock SS clutch flywheel assembly, the flywheel is dual mass, i.e. it has a fairly large mass that's inside of the flywheel that is sprung, so that as you engage the clutch, that the weight inside can actually move against springs. And it makes for a little bit smoother clutch engagement, or at least if the clutch engagement isn't super smooth, it still seems that way to the driver, because there is some dampening inside the flywheel due to this sprung heavy disc of mass that helps absorb some of the not chattering, but like maybe not smooth clutch engagement, usually due to the driver. Another thing that the stock clutch that I remember clearly is it had a fairly large engagement range, right? So if this is the clutch pedal and it's all the way to the floor, I would come out here, it would begin to engage, and then I had probably this much, before it was fully engaged, and I could then let off of the clutch pedal and get on down the road. And it was very smooth, very controllable. Like oozing around a parking lot, or kind of slowly backing out of my driveway or something like that was very easily accomplished, just sort of by modulating where I was on the clutch pedal, as to when the car would bump back or forwards, or whatever I was trying to do. If I was trying to inch forward a red light or something, and the cars are sort of settling in, and you're really only going 4 feet, 6 feet, 4 feet ahead while everything. That kind of driving was very, very easy with the stock clutch, due to the dual mass flywheel and the fact that you had like a lot of engagement angle. I don't know what you call it, pedal angle of engagement available to you. The Monster Triple, being a single mass, requires a little bit more gentle pedal work. Another thing that's different is that the pedal range of engagement is much diminished. And I don't mean diminished to sound like negative or bad. It's a smaller engagement. So, again, if the clutch pedal's at the floor, you might come out and then you have maybe this much between, you can still rev the engine and now the tires are spinning. So it's sort of very small, and then the rest is just pedal play. When I very, very first got the car back, the way it was set up, maybe like everything hadn't quite worn in just right yet, right? It was a brand new install. What happened is that I would press the clutch all the way down, and the engagement started, like a 1/4 inch or a 1/2 inch off the floor of the pedal. And sometimes even it was like a little bit hard to push into gear because kind of the engagement point was so close to the floor. I've gone through the break-in period, which I think is like 500 miles or so of just normal, no high power stop and go traffic. And kind of as I went through that, and especially now that I have, I think, maybe 2,000 or 3,000 miles on the clutch, is that the engagement point is sort of in, the bottom third of the pedal travel. So, if this is the clutch pedal, just at fully out, and you push it fully in, sort of right around here is where the clutch pedal engagement begins. And again, it's only a small sort of pedal angle from, engine can spin freely to wheels are spinning, or, fully engaged. So I'm okay with that. At least it doesn't chatter, right? At least it doesn't embarrass me in front of my passengers, or, bang the car around, make my, shift knob do stuff like this. And I've changed my driving a little tiny bit. So whereas I used to use my clutch pedal with all leg, right? So if this is the floor and this is my clutch pedal, my foot and leg would go up and down off the clutch like this. And now that I have a little bit smaller engagement range, I find myself I get on the tip of my heel, right? And so I push the clutch in, I kind of pivot on the tip of my heel, and I find where it's kind of starting to engage, and then zip away from the stoplight or something like that with even just a tiny bit of pivoting back on my heel. And this is all just in first gear, and all the other gears, it's just totally normal. But if I want to have a nice controlled start, that's the driving technique that I've adopted. It works great. I have absolutely no problems with it. It's just a little bit different than the stock Chevy SS clutch, right? Where, you had this much space of pedal travel for the clutch to engage and for, you to make throttle adjustments, whatever it is that you wanted to do while you were starting off. So the actual point of engagement as I got through the break-in period actually moved up. So instead of being very close to the floor, it is less than halfway up, but maybe like a little bit more than 1/3 of the way up, which I think is really okay. And I'm pleased with it. It's just worth noting that it's kind of a smaller engagement range. Regarding holding power, I think it holds power. I've never ever noticed it slipping or smelling. We've had some really cold days here where, for me, I live in Texas, so it was in the 20s, earlier this year, and the streets were dry. And so I'd get out and I'd maybe do a 3rd gear pull on the on-ramp, or, on the feeder road, maybe where there was no one. And so, at 7,000 RPM, right, where I'm making peak horsepower, there was absolutely no slipping. I have not tried, 4th or 5th gear at that RPM range because I just don't really drive very fast. I like, accelerating to sort of roughly the speed limit and kind of staying there, and I just don't really have the opportunity or desire to be at 7,000 RPM in fourth gear. There's just not a safe place for me to do that. But I'm pretty sure it would hold the power. I have, I think, 640-ish foot-pounds of torque right now at the wheel. The clutch supposedly is able to handle, like, I don't know, 1,100 or 1,050 or something way more than I have. And I can confidently say it does not slip at, sort of my type of driving. Like dumping the clutch doesn't help me at all because it just spins the wheel. Like I've never been to sort of a prepared surface, like on a drag strip with slicks or anything like that. So, maybe there it slips. I don't think so. If I do any kind of clutch dumping on my car, despite the fact that I have drag radials, it just spins the tires. So I can't really speak much to that. High RPM shifting is very good, right? So first, second, third is really the only times that I do any kind of high RPM shifting. Again, just because of the speed associated with the higher gears. It does great. Like it's not hard. It doesn't get stuck in gear. It doesn't block it going into the next gear. So the separation, even at 7,000 RPM is clean, and the shifting is smooth. I attribute that to, I don't know, the good balance of the clutch and flywheel. Yeah, and honestly, I can't think of anything else. Again, I have like 3,000 miles or so on it now. I'm really pleased with it. I really wish I had gone with it as my first choice of replacement. But, it is what it is. I've experienced other clutches that I just didn't like, that were maybe just too performance-y and like too much on the raw side. But I'm really happy with this one, and I would recommend it to everyone that wants more stout of a clutch and that is okay with having sort of a small range of engagement on your pedal travel. Anyway, this turned out way, way longer than I really wanted it to be. Hopefully, Reese Easterling, you get some value out of this, and maybe anyone else that's also curious about what the Monster Triple S series clutch is like. All right? Thanks, everyone. Have a great day. Bye-bye.